How accurate subdivision is played has a great effect. So whether a triplet is really a triplet or a 16th note is really even, or you phrase it a bit differently, in my experience, everyone seems to have their own version of phrasing those things. Very seldom people really play them as exact as they could be. And that is not a bad thing in itself and can even create a certain vibe or groove. And if it does, great. But you can also have problems where there are different ways of phrasing, and I want to demonstrate that for you. For this, my good friend Frank It on bass will help me to demonstrate this. What we will do now is to take the 4 En Da, so the last 16th note of a bar. We'll do it in bar 2. I'll open the hi-hat as well to make it more clear. And we will demonstrate how we can place it a bit earlier, a bit later. Let's see if you can hear the difference. First, we'll both play right on so it lines up with the 16th note subdivision. Now we'll pull that last 16th note a bit forward, play it earlier than it normally would be in the grid. But when we do it together, it works. Listen if you can hear the difference to the first one. It feels more urgent now. Now we will pull it back a bit, play it later, so to speak. This probably feels a bit heavier, more laid back. So now that you heard those 3 variations, you might say, no big deal. It's maybe a bit different, but it didn't sound wrong. And it's okay if you even didn't hear that much of a difference, but that's exactly my point. It shows how important it is to play together, and on the positive side, how forgiving it can be if only the perception of those placements are the same between everyone in the band, no matter if it's in line or perfect with the click. So what sounds right and what doesn't often is a matter of democracy. But what happens if we have different ways of phrasing it? Ready? Let's have some fun. Now we will do the exact same thing, but only I will play the late version and Frank will play the early version. Let's go. Now we'll do it the other way around. I'll play the early version and Frank will play the late version. Wow, huh? I think it's now clear that if we have different conceptions and expectations of how things should be phrased, it can be quite severe. That's why it's good to be able to make those adjustments consciously and accurately and to have a great awareness of subdivision. Like with everything else, if all is okay, it's okay. But when you bump into a problem like this, it's really good to have the ability to diagnose what it is that makes everything fall apart or sound weird, and then be able to adjust, in this case, your subdivision. Subdivision has a great effect on how urgent or relaxed patterns, or just a fill, or even just a part of a fill can feel to us. Another very practical example is this.